Welcome to this video where we take a look at the walt.id wallet API and how we can present an SD-JWT VC IETF credential to a verifier. We will be using the walt.id open source verifier API to create an authorization request, which we will then pass to the wallet and fulfill via the open source walt.id wallet API. Also, I have here the web wallet, which is connected to the wallet API. And as we can see already, I have an identity credential in my wallet, and it has one selectively disclosable attribute, John, so the given name in this instance, which we can also see right here in the JSON. So the first thing you will need to do is log in using this endpoint here. I already did that. And then as a next step, you will need to call this wallet's endpoint to get your wallet ID associated with the account you logged in with. I mean, if you don't have an account yet, you can also register one right here. When you have all of these things, the first thing is, of course, that you need to get a credential into your wallet. And to get the credential, you could be using the walt.id portal or the issuer API, depending on what you prefer. Now, I already have, as shown, this identity credential in my wallet, and we can also quickly take a look here in the wallet API directly by calling this list endpoint here with my wallet ID. And then as we can see here, I have this one credential in my wallet, which is the identity credential we just saw. Let's now jump over here to the verifier. I will be using this OID4VP/verifier endpoint. You can also check out a link in the description to a video where we talk a little bit more in detail about how you can create an authorization request, which you can then send to the wallet using the verifier API. For now, I will just assume that you already know how this works. And here I basically just say, okay, I'm requesting a credential, an SD-JWT VC IETF credential of this with this VCT type. And here we have the format. And I will just apply the default signature policy. Now, when we execute this, we get back this authorization URL. And now when we quickly decode this, we can also see right here, when we take a look at the presentation definition URI, what the verifier here is requesting. So we see here that it's requesting this identity credential type, as we see here in the constraints field. Now, the first thing what we need to do from a wallet, so depending on how we get this into the wallet API, so that this authorization request could be passed via a URL parameter, or it might be rendered out as a QR code. And so the front end would then the front end of the wallet would then basically turn the QR code it scans from the verifier back into this authorization request, which we then can use in the backend to start processing it. And the first thing we would need to do when we go to the wallet backend is that we need to find all the matching credentials for the specific presentation definition. Now here the first thing is I need to provide my wallet ID again, and then here in the body I will need to provide the input descriptors. So I will take all of that and we'll pass it here to the API. We execute it. As we can see, we have one matching credential, which is the one we saw before when we also did the request, or this one right here in the web wallet. So we can use that now and share it with the verifier. Now, before we do it from a backend perspective, before we share it with the verifier, we need to ask the user for consent that we are allowed to share it. And also, now in this case, I had a simple verification request and I didn't specify any specific attributes that I need. Now, we could also prompt the user that he can share, or he can select to share also the selectively disclosable attributes. So we could show them a field for that, or we simply don't share it as it's not required by the verifier. Now, what we will be doing is we will be sharing the selectively disclosable attributes, so we can also see how this then works in practice if you want to enable this, or if you are required to share it because the verifier needs a specific attribute which is selectively disclosable. And so after we've now figured out the credential that matches, we will need to save ourselves this ID. And then the next thing is we need to first resolve the presentation request. So what we will do here is take this presentation request, paste it, provide the wallet ID, execute it, and take the response. And then we move on to the use presentation request endpoint, where we then provide, first of all, here in the presentation request parameter, we provide the presentation request. Just got back from this call right here. Then we would need to provide our DID. So in case we have multiple DIDs in our account, this needs to be the DID to which the credential we are then about to share is bound. We can see our DIDs by going to this list DIDs endpoint. And here we can see I at the moment have only one DID, but again, in this I will be using. And then, so we have the DID, we have the presentation request, and then we now need to provide the credentials that we want to share. So the credential ID we got back from this match credentials endpoint here in the response. So this right here, we will be providing right here, which I already did. And then we need to also provide the disclosures. Now the disclosures are first mapped in an object, and then we have first the key is the identifier of our credential, and then a list of disclosures. Where do we get the disclosures? When we go quickly back to our match credentials endpoint, we see here that we have the disclosures, and that's also what I provided in this instance here. Now, if there would be multiple, I can provide also others like this. And let's now share that. As we can see, the presentation was successful. And when we now go back to the verifier and check here the state value, we can see that the credential was presented. And we can also see, when we quickly take here a look at this credential, that, and we search here for the tilde sign, that the credential, so when we copy this out quickly and remove these parts. So first we shared this credential, and also when we take here the disclosure, which was also shared, and quickly decode this with base64 decoder, we see that also the disclosure of the credential was shared. So the given name here in this example was also shared with the verifier. Now with that, we made the full walkthrough of how you can present an SD-JWT VC verifiable credential from our wallet API. I will also link in the description a link to the written version of this walkthrough. Generally, if you enjoy our tools, please leave us a star on GitHub. We would really appreciate it. Like and subscribe, and happy building, and see you next time.